Hello, Quinn Yu.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted still. I realize the time that I wasted. I feel like you can't feel the way I feel. Be up if you can't be right. If you can't be right, yeah. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. When I'm away from you, I miss your touch. You're the reason I believe in love. For me to trust, and I'm afraid that I'ma f it up. Ain't no way that I can leave you stranded, cause you ain't never left me empty-handed. And you know that I can't live without you. So baby, stay. I'll be f***ed up if you can't be right here. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. Told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay, yeah. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. Told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I need you to stay, need you to stay.
Last night all I think about is you. Don't stop, baby, you come up too. Don't want, baby, think about you. You know that I never gonna lose.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and me. But today I see our reflections clearly in Hollywood. Lamp on the screen. You just need a better life than this. You need something I can never give. Think about it all across the road. It's gone now, the night is come. But sometimes all I think about is you.
I said coming from a new location today.
Yeah, I like the Halifax drawing in the back.
It's the north end of Halifax.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm staying at this Airbnb a long term, so I live right there.
Oh, cool.
Anyways, I guess this is a project that the owners did during the pandemic. So for guests who come and stay at the Airbnb, it's
That's
kind of a
cool.
cool feature.
Yeah.
So I take it that you can both see and hear me, and you also heard the music.
Yeah, I could.
Okay, yeah, it was a bit loud.
I'm just a little deaf.
Well, so am I. So I might be loud. I was gonna say, yeah. So I'm doing this just on the laptop today. I don't have 3 screens, so hopefully this will work out well. Let's see. We still only have 3 people. Okay, I'll be back in like 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay. See ya.
Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. You can't fight it, you can't breathe. You say something so loving, but now I gotta let you go. You'll be better off in someone new. I don't wanna be alone. You know it hurts me too. You look so broken when you cry. One more and then I say goodbye. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. I just wonder what you're dreaming of. When you sleep and smile so comfortable. I just wish that I could give you that look that's perfectly unsaid. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. He always been faking me out. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. take it. Sometimes I just can't take it, and it isn't alright. I'm not gonna make it, and I think my shoes untied. I'm like a broken record. I'm like a broken record, and I'm not playing right. Just cynical, how about you kill me till you tell me on the heavenly phone to hold tight. Come on, come on. Come on, don't let go. Hold tight, hold tight. It's alright, you said. I got my hands up shaking just to let you know that you've got a higher power. Got me singing every second, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you've got a higher power. And she really someone I wanna know. This boy is electric. This boy is electric, and you're sparkling like the universe connected. And I'm buzzing night after night after night. This joy is electric. This joy is electric, and you're circuiting through. I'm so happy that I'm alive. Happy I'm alive at the same time as you. Cause you've got a higher power. Got me singing every second, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you've got a higher power. And you're really someone I wanna know. You got a high. You got a higher. You got a high. You got, you got a high. You got higher. You got a high. My hands up shaking just to let you know now. You've got a higher power. You got me singing every second, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you've got a higher power. You once in any lifetime. I'm going a million miles an hour. When for so long I've been down on my knees in your love song. You set me over and over for so long. I've been down on my knees to your love song. Floats me
ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ACCT 3323 MIS. Today I'm coming from a different location. I'm actually coming from my apartment in the north end of Halifax. Halifax North End, here's the map. I was at the university, but I was told that the university sometimes loses power during these rain and windstorms. So I thought maybe I better go home and do the class from there to make sure that there's no interruption. I guess it also doesn't guarantee that there won't be a power disruption where I am located, but let's hope not. Okay. All right. How's everyone doing today? Are you good?
Good.
Bad? You're sick? What? I'm good news, so thank you. All right, so we ended class on Monday, I think like 45 minutes early. So I was trying to, I guess, impress upon you the getting the Power BI downloaded so that it is, make sure that it's going to work for you. Also, over half the students hadn't read the article on data governance. So I hope you used your 45 minutes on Monday wisely, that you didn't have to spend in here with me. And I hope that includes trying to download Power BI to make sure that it works. All right, so today we're going to do chapter 6, or we're going to get a fair bit of it done. And then we're going to start chapter 7 on Monday. What I want to focus on mostly in this chapter is the data governance. So I'll talk more about that once I get into the slides. Just bear with me because I'm not using 3 screens today. I'm using 1 laptop, no headset, and I only have 1 like actual screen. So bear with me if I'm not sharing what I'm supposed to be, and let me know if you don't see what I'm talking about. So let me first of all open up the PowerPoint. Can you tell me if you see my PowerPoint?
Nope.
You can't? Okay. Thank you for telling me. So let's try this. Screen. I'm just going to share the whole screen. Can you see? Oh,
Yes, I can see it now.
let's got to turn up the volume because I can't hear you very well. And I'm going to turn off my heater because it's kind of noisy. Okay. All right. Okay, so chapter 6 is that, as you can tell from the title, it's about data and business intelligence. So a lot of chapter 6, especially the first half, and also a large part of the second half, you might not know it, but you've covered a lot of this in the data analytics book that you've been using to do your labs and your reading. So all of the first section, 6.1, is actually already been covered in this course in those other books. And you even had, I think, some testing on that in the first midterm. I guess one of the first things I would ask is, what is the value of data? Now, you had this question on your midterm exam. I had it said, what is the value of data in the context of the value chain analysis? So whether you think about it in the context of the value chain analysis or not, I'd like some people to give us some ideas of what do you think the value of data is? What's the value of having data?
One benefit is that you can make better decisions, more fact-based decisions based on previous data that you have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Why do we
Forecasting
have
and planning. Oh, sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Donna.
Forecasting and planning.
Yep, good. And one other example, what else is there? Someone else can tell me value of data. How many we got here today? 25. One other person. What did you rate on the test? Most of you answered the question, so what did you say?
It could give the company a competitive advantage if they can get information out of that data.
Yep, Excellent. Okay, thank you. So the biggest value of all those are really good examples of how we can use value, how we can use data, what the value of it is. It is used for reporting. It is used to, if you have enough data, hopefully it can give you a competitive advantage. But the primary reason the value of data is that it minimizes the risk. Okay, so the more data we have, hopefully we are able to minimize more of our business risk. And of course, business risk means being able to do things like produce reports, identify what kind of competitive advantages we might have in the marketplace. Okay? But there's a lot of data, right? Whoops, let me just, there we go. There is a lot of data out there, right? So data is everywhere. We talked about a couple chapters ago about having structured data and unstructured data. Here's a little schematic about all the different kinds of data that we get. You'll see like formats coming in, documents, presentations, spreadsheets, database. And we have all of this information coming from different departments and going inside of what we call a data warehouse. You'll recall that we talked about transactional data processing, analytical data processing in previous chapters. Here's where all of this different transactional data, other kinds of analytical data, all are going in through a database. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to flip right on down here. I'm going to go back and forth today in this chapter. Okay. So if we look down here, you'll see here's the data warehouse. All right. So in the data warehouse, you'll see here, these are, you've kind of seen this a little bit before in a previous chapter. But this is what a data warehouse looks like. So a data warehouse model. So we have all of our internal databases like inside of our company, marketing, sales, billing, and inventory. We have all these external databases that we get that has information or data on like the industry that you're in. Or you could be getting data. You can buy email lists, you can buy information. All of those could be external information. And the data warehouse itself here is where all of this data is stored. So we have all of the databases in here and external ones all being compiled in one big data warehouse. Well, okay, we have all of this data, but what do we do with this data? And do we have the tools that we need in order to be able to manipulate this data to make it useful and meaningful to us? Okay? Because what we want to do is we want to extract this data and maybe using it for marketing or inventory or other kinds of reasons. We also like to we want to use the metadata. Anybody tell me what metadata means?
It sort of describes the data and has,
Yep, it's data about the data.
Yep, exactly, yep.
Right? So for an example, I won't show you my photos, but if you go into your photos, photo app on in iPhone as an example, right? If you go in there and you click things like you can go and do searches by location, you can do searches by date, you can do all kinds of searches on photos. So the reason that you can do that is because there's metadata attached to that photo. Okay? So just like all other data that is collected, there is metadata that describes where it was collected, maybe like the IP address or physical location, the time of day, who collected it. So there's also a lot of value in analyzing metadata to be able to use it for predictive marketing programs, things like that. Okay. Now, of course, we have all this data, but what do we do to be able to manage all of this data? Like, well, first of all, collecting it, storing it, leveraging it, using it. Okay, so one of the big things that we need is we need a really good data governance structure, data governance process. Okay. Okay. So you'll see here as a definition, data governance refers to the overall management of the availability, the usability, the integrity, and the security of the company data. So as future managers in organizations, or even if you're going to be doing systems, actually even moreover, if you're doing systems, computer systems, you are going to be playing a very large role in data governance. It will be part of your job, whether you're in MIS or whether you're in accounting or whether you're in marketing. Data governance is going to be a prominent part of your role or your responsibility wherever you're going to be working. Okay, and it's actually becoming even more and more prevalent as there's more data and as we also have more tools to be able to manipulate the data and to use it for predictive value. Okay. All right, so there's an article that I had asked you to read called Data Governance. Okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to spend some time together on data governance, and I want you guys to be able to understand what data governance means and what are all the different parts of data governance. These are 6 major questions that I've identified that I'd like us to understand through data governance, understand about data governance. And what I've got here is I've got a little mini case. Can you see that like any sensibly at all? Let me just, does that look better? Can you read that it says the Crunch Factory is one of the 4th largest gym companies operating in Australia?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just read this together. I got to move this little bar out of the way. Okay. All right. So, and each gym operates its own system with its own database. Unfortunately, the company failed to develop any data capturing standards and now faces the challenge associated with low quality enterprise data. For example, one system has a field to capture email addresses, but another system does not. Duplicate customer data among the different systems is another major issue, and the company continually finds itself sending conflicting or competing messages to customers from different gyms. A customer also could have multiple accounts within the same company, one representing a membership or in other classes, or yet again, another database for personal trainer. So the Crunch Factory has no way to identify that the different customer accounts are actually the same customer across the various different databases within their own gym locations or within the company as a whole. Okay. Now, to remain competitive and to be able to generate business intelligence, the Crunch Factory has to resolve these challenges. So what they're going to do is they're going to call upon you as a professional, somebody who knows about data governance, to impress upon them about the importance of data governance and how they might want to adopt data governance in their organization to be able to deal and manage with some of these issues. So I could just get you to do the questions, but it's better to have some kind of a mini case to wrap around the data governance because it also gives it some more context and it gives it something to root it in. So what I want to do is that I want to put you in breakout rooms. I see a chat there of 3 people, Zinhang, okay, yep. So let me close that. I want to put you in in breakout rooms for each of these 6 questions. So right now we've got 30 students. So let's say we'll do 6 rooms and there'll be about 5 each. Oh, someone just left. That means they don't get any participation marks. So what I want you to do is put you in breakout rooms and I want you to put together a presentation based on the article, the data governance article that you've read. And I also want you to find one other source out there in the internet. You can use Google, but I want you to find one other source that supports your part of the data governance piece that you're going to create as a presentation to the Crunch Factory board of directors to impress upon them why data governance is needed in their organization. Right now, let me just go here, scroll down. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oops, I got to get out of the presentation for one. Just bear with me here. Okay, so I'm going to copy these questions into the chat room. Control C. Wait, my laptop's small. Control C. And then I'm going to go to the chat room. Control V. Did they come out? No? All right, let's try this again. Control C. And chat. Click. Control V. All right. Enter. All right. So there are the 6 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. I'll post this case here on the screen so that you can see it. And so if you're in breakout room number 1, just pick question number 1. If you're in breakout room, these don't have any numbers in front of them, but I'm sure you can count. So if you're breakout room number 3, make sure you pick the 3rd question. All right. So are there any questions about what you're being asked to do? No. Okay, so it's 4:16 right now. What I'm going to do is I am going to give you 20 minutes to do this presentation. Now, I have some caveats. For the second half of this semester, what I want to do is I want to see at least 2 people doing the presentation, not just 1 person. And I'd also like to hear some new voices. So part of what I like to do in my courses, I like to also help you improve your communication skills, which includes putting together PowerPoint presentations and also delivering the content of your presentation to your audience. So I'm not going to push you really hard, but what I want you to do is like maybe step up in your group and say, hey, I haven't done this, so maybe I should do a little bit of the groundwork, like whether that's doing the PowerPoint presentation development, sharing it, whatever way you guys do it, and then also delivering the presentation. So as a minimum, I want at least 2 people in each group to present part of your presentation today. So I'll give you 20 minutes. That'll take us up to about 4:40-ish. And then I will give you about no more than 3 minutes each to do your presentation to the Crunch Factory Board of Directors. And I'm the only one on the Board of Directors. All right. Okay, I'll send you out there now. Let me just find the breakout room option here. Breakout rooms. So I want 6 rooms because I've got 6 questions. 6. All right, I'm going to send you out there and I'll just check in on you. I'll pop by, say hello. All right, have fun and learn. So Michael and Theo and Yi Yin, you need to go to your rooms. What I mean is breakout rooms. Okay, Theo and Michael, you're left to go into the room. Your group members are waiting for you. All right. Mustafa, are you late?
Oh, yes, I'm late. I'm sorry.
All right, do you want to go into a room?
Oh, yes, please. If it's possible, it would be nice.
All right, let me put you in a room where there's only 4 people.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that.
You sound like you're congested or you have a cold or something.
Yeah, I get sick.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, right here, we'll feel better. Okay, I'll put you in,
Okay,
I'm gonna put you in group number 6.
okay,
Just tell
thank
them you're late and that I threw you in here, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the room. I'm looking forward to seeing these presentations on data governance. You've had a lot of time to read this article, so hopefully we'll get to share some good content with each other. I think everybody's back here now. Yeah. All right. We lost a couple people. 27. All right. Okay, so the way that I'd like to approach this is that, let me just share the screen. Share. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So I had the 6 questions. Just let me make sure I got them. There we go. All right. So the order that these questions are in are kind of in the sequence in which they would be like researched or written. So I think the best thing to do for structure is to start with the breakout room number 1 and move our way through to each one. So if I could please call upon breakout room number 1 in the context of this Crunch Fitness issues at their company, to tell us or tell me as the member of the board of directors, what's this data governance all about and why does it matter? All right, so who's taking over for group number 1? Or not who, but who is, which people?
Patrick and I are going to present, and in just a minute, Victoria is going to share her screen for us.
Okay, perfect.
Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Yep. Perfect. So we will be explaining to you why data governance matters and is applicable to our business organization.
Data governance is important as it will allow for the company to be more effective to serve its clients and customers. Currently, we do not have a system in place that holds all the data from each location in the database that is compatible to all locations. This leads to less than optimal service to customers, such as flooding them with the same email multiple times due to their registration at our multiple locations. The use of the data governance will allow us to more effectively communicate with customers through a variety of platforms with the accuracy recording of contact information across our locations. Additionally, the implementation of a data governance system would allow for us to track the services, i.e. specialized classes, personal trainers, used by the individual consumer, which would allow for us to tailor our marketing efforts towards them based on the services or special offerings that they are most likely to take part in.
So the implementation of a data governance system will aid in developing cohesive services between all 6 of our locations. This will result in a more consistent customer experience for clients who make use of multiple locations and increase our overall strength and entity as a recognizable brand. It will also enable each of the 6 locations to work together as a single unit more effectively, as they will be able to pool and share information more easily between locations because of the common processes used for data recording and analysis. And on our next slide, we have included the URL to some further reading that you can do on the importance and why data governance matters in our business. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Patrick and Victoria and Michael and whoever else is in the group that helped put it together. I like the way that you address the problem because you talk specifically about the case. So application, very important. The only thing that I would recommend is not to put so much content on your slides. It's okay to have talking notes to read, but it's actually a good idea to use short point form in your PowerPoint presentations. And then you can have a document that you're reading that's separate, if that's what you want to refer to. Okay.
Okay, awesome. We'll work on that for the future.
Yep. Well, everybody. Yep. Okay, thank you very much. And I would now like to talk about the second portion of the data governance is what are the goals of data governance and the benefits? So essentially, the previous group talked about the importance of data governance and what their hope is that how it's gonna, make their company more cohesive in terms of having all the data together and managed. So I would like the group number 2 to talk about what the data governance goals and benefits are in the context of Crunch Fitness. So I will go back to here. All right, who's group number 2?
Hi, could you see the presentation?
I sure can.
All right, perfect. Just oopsie. How do I turn this on? All right, perfect. So we're talking about data governance and the goals and benefits of it. So to make sure the company understands what the benefits are and what the goals are, we need to make them understand the issues they're facing right now and why those issues are arising. It is because of the lack of data governance. So the first point is customer irritation due to multiple marketing emails. When different departments and different gyms are sending the same emails to the same person with different information, and that sort of becomes spam, and customers do not like that, and that will be a loss of customers and loss of business. And ineffective marketing campaigns due to inaccurate targeting, when you have duplicate profiles on customers and you're not even sure who is who and which profile, which data belongs to who, you cannot make sufficient marketing decisions and campaigns to target them properly. And especially with gyms, the health information is private and there can be compliances that they need to comply to in the regions they are. And so there's a huge privacy concern with that too, when they are not in charge of their data, and the data can be they can take too much data. Some gyms can have total lack of security because there is no data governance and there is no standard. And all this duplicate data and unnecessary data is more data, but no benefits. The more data you have, the harder it is to analyze it. But in this case, they have more data for no reason, and it just makes it harder to analyze, and it just gives more clutter in the database that they just doesn't benefit them. And this incohesiveness between the different gyms and departments makes it harder for the central enterprise to make good, proper business decisions for the whole of the company. And it's just not good because there are no standards that they because of the lack of data governance. And I'm gonna give it away to Rebecca for the next slide.
So our second slide is how data governance can be a solution to those business problems. Some goals are that the internal and external communications can be fixed. We could increase the value of the data. So as Hassan said, that the duplication of the data, we could fix that. And then the benefit of that would be increasing the efficiency through the ability to reuse processes and data. Another goal is to standardize the process of the data, so it's easier than just having to redo it every single time you head to a new gym with the Crunch Factory. And lastly, we have better, more comprehensive decision support stemming from consistent, uniform data across the organization. So your data would be with you as one customer at every single gym instead of being at every gym and being a different customer profile.
And here's our extra source from outside of the data governance article.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when you guys load these up, I'll be able to click these links and they're gonna work.
Yep.
Well, I'll find out when I do that later on today or tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back to this. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rebecca. And was it Kyle or Sorry, forgot who it was. Okay, so let's moving on to the third element or third part of the data governance. Who is responsible for data governance and what are their roles? So, you know, maybe in the context of Crunch Fitness, if you could talk about who is supposed to be responsible for this this dilemma, and what are their roles? What should they be doing about it? So whoever's in group 3, if you could please take over and address this issue.
All right, so we're group number 3, and our question was who's responsible for data governance and what are their roles? So the role of the Chief Data Officer, the CDO, is for securing approval, funding, and staffing for data governance programs. And they're also responsible to monitor the progress of these programs. For the data governance managers and team, they coordinate the governance process, organize training sessions, track metrics, manage internal communications, and they also carry other management tasks.
All right, so some additional roles are the data governance committee, and they're responsible for making the policies and making standard decisions. They're also responsible for resolving any disputes if they arise. Then we have the data stewards, and there's 2 types. The first is business data stewards, and they're responsible for measuring and reporting data quality. The second type is technical data stewards, and they're basically responsible for tracking the life cycle of data across different IT systems. And then next we have the data quality analysts and engineers, and they basically pick metrics and measure the quality of the data. The final role is organizations employees, and they're a very important one because they're responsible for entering complete and accurate data into MIS, and that helps facilitate the data governance process. And that's a reference.
Okay, all right. Can you go back to the 3rd slide? Oh, it's okay. All right, thank you, April. And was it Rebecca?
Fatima.
Oh, Fatima, okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you both very much, and the rest of you group for putting that together. You did hit all the points about who is responsible and what are their roles and responsibilities. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is actually applying those roles and what their responsibilities specifically would be in the context of the Crunch Fitness gym, and how those roles would address the issues that are facing them now. Okay, so just keep that in mind, like when you do get it on an exam, like the final exam, make sure you use the case information to apply the theoretical concepts. Okay, thank you. All right, let's look at the next question. The next part of data governance. So what are the best practices for managing data governance issues? Best practices. So best practices are always evolving. So let's see what you guys came up with. I'd be interested in seeing if there was anything new from a new resource out there that's more current about data governance best practices. All right, so let's go to group number 4. You could please take over.
Hi, my group, I'm looking at what are the best practices for managing data governance issues. Let me share our screen. Okay, so what are the best practices for managing data governance issues? Data governance is a system of defining who within an organization has authority and control over data assets, and how those data assets might be used. It encompasses the people, processes, and technologies required to manage and protect data assets. That's some of the ways. Phase 1, start small and build a big picture. That is, you need to set clear goals, measurable and specific goals according to our data. 2, we need to make sure that the data is hand-driven and it's clean, organized and easy to understand. And we also use metrics to continually measure the success of our policies to regulate our data. 3, we need to frequently measure our performances to ensure that they meet our set policies and standards. This will help us to ensure that our objectives have been achieved and resources have been appropriately managed. 4, we need to encourage frequent communication, which will ensure that the best practices that we are putting in place have been enforced around the organization. 5th, all participants must have integrity in their dealings with each other, which is they must be truthful and forthcoming in discussing the drivers, constraint options, and impact for data-related decisions. Can you take over?
All participants must be integrated in their dealings with each other. They must be truthful and forthcoming in discussing the drivers, constraints, options, and impacts for data-related decisions. And data governance and stewardship processes require transparency. It must be clear to all participants and auditors how and when data-related decisions and controls were introduced into the process. And also increasing the awareness and training. We need to ensure that all employees have the right training and are aware of IT governance policy. We need to ensure all employees follow security standards. Also, we need to ensure the right team for IT staff are selected and ensure a skilled chief information officer is selected to oversee the team and ensure they provide necessary IT services for the organization. Thank you.
That's our presentation.
Sorry, I was muted. The clarity wasn't good, so I had to mute myself. Okay, so thank you for that. Only suggestion I have again for you that I had for the previous group is that it's great that you've got all the content there that refers to the topic about best practices for managing data governance. What I don't see is I don't see you actually talking about the best practices in the context of Crunch Fitness's issues. So when you do have a case like that, make sure that you're, it's good to have the theory, but make sure that you're applying it to how it's going to resolve the issues that the company is experiencing. The other thing that I noticed is that I did not see an external article other than the one that you were using. So especially for something like best practices, as I said, it's evolving. So it's a good one to go out and research and see if there's any new best practices that have been experienced by other organizations that are running into challenges with the management of their data. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so the next one I want to talk about is what are some of the major data governance challenges that organizations experience? So without me saying more about it, I'll let the group who's responsible for managing the presentation for this one to the board to take over. Kelvin, I need you to stop sharing. Oh wait, this is group 5. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, group 5, me, Ziba, Dale, and Maria, and we have the challenges. So from the article, from the readings, we have making sure that data is accurate and accessible in order to perform perfect like analysis, preventing users from misusing and any privacy from the data. And some major issues at the start include figuring out what procedures to take, agreeing on definitions and formats of data. So that's why data governance committee is crucial. And getting the data governance program approved by the organization can be a challenge at the start as well.
Okay, can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
I'd like to discuss a few of these. So, and this is not for you to answer, this is for anybody in general. So when we were back in chapter 2 in data analytics, what were some of the ways that it doesn't have to be this group that answers it, anybody can, but what were some of the ways that we make sure that data is accurate? What do we do? It was a question on the midterm.
We have to make sure that there's numerical data, like if it's numerical, right?
Right, yep.
If it's text data, it's text data. It's not different components of data.
Right, okay. Data formats, address formatting, all those kinds of things. So you want to make sure the inputting of the data, however it's inputted or collected, is accurate by having these checks done on the fields that collect these data. Okay, all right. And we also talked last semester, but the first half of the course, we talked about preventing the misuse of data privacy. We talked at length about that, about organizational privacy. And then the other thing, which we haven't talked about in this course, it's in this chapter, but agreement on data definitions and formats. So can somebody who've done the data analytics labs, can you tell me if you've talked about data definitions yet and data dictionaries and data warehouses? Have you come across that in the DAA book?
There's a bit on data dictionaries.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so a bit on that. There's a little bit, I just want to make sure, because I think maybe I'll cover that a little bit more in this chapter, so that everybody understands the components inside of a data warehouse. Okay, thanks, keep going. Sorry, I don't know who you are. I can't see. Oh, it's Maria's screen, but someone else is speaking. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to be talking about the additional problems that we have. First one, we have the lack of ownership. Is like, while you're governing data, if something goes wrong because of one employee's mistake, there's no one to take responsibility for it, because the company, the firm, has to face it, even if it's like the fault of one person. That's why we go to the second point where it says like there's a need for leadership. I think someone has to step up and tell the other employees like, this is how you have to do, because if you don't have a proper standard, like we talked about before, things are bound to go wrong. There might be an overlap of doing things. So many things could go wrong. The third point is the cost of programs. A firm might not have enough manpower or enough funds to get the means for data governance. That could also be a problem. The fourth point would be data overload. When there's a lot of volume and variety of data that you have, governing the quality can be difficult. You cannot govern a data where like there's so much information coming to you and you don't know what to do with it. And the last point would be that companies spend too much time and resources trying to get the right data to give the person the information, that they don't have enough time to, like, they spend a lot of time governing the data when they don't have enough manpower, that they don't have enough time to, come up with the right story to give them.
When you say a right story, like know what they want to do with the data?
Yes, like when you have the data that you have, what am I saying? I'm sorry. When you have the information that you have, you spend a lot of time skimming through it, looking for what you want, you waste a lot of time there that you're not able to convey your point to your client.
Right.
Properly.
So you don't have well-defined requirements what you want from the data.
Yes.
It's also possible you may not even have the appropriate software or data extraction tools to help you provide the data that you want for the purposes that you might need it for. Okay. All right, keep going.
And these are the solutions that we came up with as a group, that as data comes in, we must keep governing it. Like if there's a little chunk of data coming to you at a time, govern it and skim through it immediately, and don't just keep it for the bulk for later on. And you need to keep monitoring what comes into your servers and systems as data for the good of your company.
All right, good. Then you got an article there, okay. Infojix.com, okay. All right, okay, thank you very much for that, Ziba. Again, I liked what you had to say. I just would like to see some context around the Crunch Fitness case, and particularly how those data governance challenges might be problematic given the issues that are currently existing with the data at Crunch Fitness, okay? Okay, so last one, identify and discuss the key data governance pillars. Who is up? You got 3 minutes exactly before we sign off.
Hello, I'm just figuring out how to share my screen.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you have a teammate who can tell you how to do it?
Bernadine, are you able to get it up?
Can you pull it up? I'm sorry.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
So we have the 4 pillars of data governance.
Yeah.
And the first one is data stewardship. So Crunch Factory needs to have a group of individuals that will help to make sure that the implementation of the policies are being followed for data governance across the organization. They should be responsible for ensuring data quality, data security, and data usage. And the second pillar is data quality. Each system of the business has to come to an agreement of data consistency, accuracy, and completeness. Crunch Factory should remove any inconsistent and duplicated data and ensure that there is one unique data for each customer that can be shared to different systems across the organization.
The third factor is master data management. Master data management is one data warehouse for all of the data so that every business unit uses a consistent data on customers, services, and business entities. This will help in ensuring that each data is unique and consistent in different systems across an organizations. Number four is uses of cases. Use of cases is a policy to support how somebody is added to the system. And as new data comes, we have to expand on the existing data. As data use widens across Crunch Factory, data governance across the organization can be widely applied into new technologies to improve the accuracy and quality of data. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zobiar and Bernadine, and I think Donna presented, and there's a couple of other people in the group. Yeah, so that's a great job on weaving in the case to the actual issue here that we're looking at with regards to the key data governance pillars. So hopefully when you just, I think a lot of the things you just addressed there in the data governance pillars will hopefully address the data issues that they are experienced at Crunch Fitness. I don't know if it's called Crunch Fitness, Super Crunch. I keep calling it Crunch Fitness because that's the one that I know here in Canada. All right. Okay, so thank you all very much for your contributions today. Please upload them. I'm going to set up a folder right now. If you can upload your PowerPoints into the Dropbox that I'll create like right after I close this class. I just want to let you know that I'll have your grades before the next class on Monday, as I mentioned. And please, please, please download that Power BI and make sure it works for you. Because if you leave it till reading week, you may not find the help that you need, either from me or from IT or from even your colleagues. So try to get started on that as early as possible. At least make sure that it works and you can access it, okay? All right, other than that, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all again on Monday, okay?
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, that ends the class for ACCT 3323 MIS on Wednesday, October 27th. It's 5:17 Atlantic time.